so hopefully it is. Oh, there we go. Um, so I did macros. Oh, I'm moving Nicole all around. What am I doing? There we go. I'm gonna stop touching things. I started doing macros back in 2020 before I really started doing the Beachbody nutrition programs. And I had good luck with it. And I found um, it was nice because I felt like I got to eat a lot of food because I don't like to feel deprived. Um, but then as I became a body coach, I started following their meal plans. So I kind of got away from the macros, and Erin's taking a picture of us. um, but I'm getting back into it. And I am by no means an expert, but I will share with you what I've learned, what I know, and kind of some of the things that I have found helpful. So let me share my screen. And I made this cute, or tried to make a nice little slideshow here. Let's see. Come on. There we go. So macros. I'm no expert, but here's what I know. So what are macros? Well, let's go back. Hold on. All right, so macros, they're the three main nutrients that our bodies need for fuel. So it's broken down into carbohydrates, proteins, healthy fats. Some people like break those down even farther, especially like with carbohydrates, like how much fiber you eat, healthy fats, like your trans fats, your saturated fats, all of that. I don't deep dive that far. I just stick to the three main ones. Also, some people will track like sodium, um, other, things like that based on what like their goals are. But like I said, I stick to the three main ones. Your macro goals will depend on your fitness or physique goals. Like as you've all seen, you've got the bodybuilders that have like no body fat on them and are very muscular. They're going to eat differently than say somebody that just wants to have a nice toned body or just wants to maintain where they're at, things like that. So we'll get into more of that shortly, but just kind of keep that in mind. So here we go. In order to calculate your macros, now don't get scared. There is some math, but I've tried to break it down and I gave you some other tools as well. But just things that you would need to know is your height, your weight, your basal metabolic rate, which I'm going to teach you how to figure that out, your total daily expenditure. Again, I'm going to show you how to do that. And like what your goal is. Are you trying to lose fat? Are you trying to gain muscle? You just want to stay where you're at? Just kind of think about those things. And then that is how you're going to figure out your target daily calorie goal. Okay. So I will say for like fear of plagiarism, this is what I used when I was doing my macros. It's called Thinner, Leaner, Stronger. It's a book by Michael Matthews. So this is where like all of my information came from. Of course, there's tons of different theories and ways of doing things and all of that. But this was recommended to me by a friend who had really good success with it. So that is what I did. So that's like where all of these guidelines and stuff, like I said, that I use came from. And I just kind of hit the high notes rather than having you guys read the whole book. So to calculate your basal metabolic rate, so that's like just at rest, how much your body like burns through calories throughout the day, just a general day. And you can guys feel free to like take screenshots, or I can even send this to you afterwards, whatever works for you, or write it down. But so your basal metabolic rate is 10 times your weight in kilograms plus 6.25 times your height in centimeters minus 5 times your age minus 161. I don't know why the word strategies is there. No idea. Um, and so I also put down here how to convert pounds to kilograms and inches to centimeters, just in case, you didn't know how to do that. And so for somebody that weighed, I just went real basic and did weighed 100 kilograms. This is kind of, and is 6 feet tall. This is kind of what that formula would look like. So, and I should have done the math beforehand, but I will do it out for you right now. So that would be 1,000. And if you're not a math person, I like math. Um, this link down at the bottom is a calculator. So you can also always go there. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, I should have done this beforehand. Oh, that's why I did it wrong. Catherine, don't worry, you didn't miss too much before you hopped on. We are recording it, so you can always catch up too. Um, so this person would eat, or their basal metabolic rate would be 2,151. Okay, so we'll kind of keep this as like our dummy person going through here. Like I said, if you're not a math person, don't worry, you can just go to this link down here and you can enter your information and it will do it for you. Um, so your total daily energy expenditure is like based on if you were just sitting here doing nothing, that's your BMR. But obviously, we don't all do that. We all, exercise, we have active jobs, so on and so forth. So you want to take an account for that when you're figuring out your macros. So your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, is your BMR times your activity modifier. And these are the different activity modifiers. So, I mean, we all exercise, obviously. For myself, when I do my macros, depending what workout program I'm doing, I either do the moderate activity or the very active. Like right now, I'm doing Dig Deeper. So it's like 45 minutes a day, 6 days a week. Plus, I'm doing cardio most days. So I would probably um, multiply mine with this 1.55, kind of the higher end of the moderate activity. Um, just because it is kind of winter, I'm not outside as much, doing as much stuff outside. In the summer, I might lean towards like the lower end of the very active, just because of being outside, doing more things with the kids. So you can always, your goals with macros are always going to be changing based on what you're doing. So for our test person, if you will, we'll go with the 1.55. So I'm just going to multiply my BMR times, and that's going to give our energy expenditure, that's going to bring it up to 3,334. So the next step would be to figure out what your goal is. I got to move you guys to the other side. So there's kind of three different patterns when tracking your macros to think about. Cutting, which is when you lose fat. That you obviously, to lose, you need to eat in a calorie deficit. We all kind of know that. That's the basic of dieting, if you will. If you're trying to maintain, if you're good with where you're at, you just want to keep that composition. You want to eat roughly the calories that you output. So you would essentially want to eat roughly the number that we just came up with. And then there's lean bulking. So this is if you're trying to gain muscle as quickly as possible, but without, obviously adding a lot of fat to your body. You're just trying to build those muscles and get a more defined muscular look. So then when you're doing that, you would want to eat a little bit more calories than what you're burning so that your body kind of has that extra to build those muscles. All right. Don't be overwhelmed. I know this screen is kind of busy. I'm going to break it down. So, oh, don't mind the spelling errors. I was kind of in a hurry when I did this. How to calculate your daily calorie goal. And so I broke it down into cutting, maintaining, and lean bulking. So if you were trying to cut calories, if you're trying to lose fat, but also gain muscle, because you have to be, one of the things that a lot of people make a mistake with when they're trying to lose weight is they might eat so much in a calorie deficit that not only are they losing fat, but they're like muscle, they're losing muscle as well. So you want to eat a nice balance diet and balance of macros so that you lose that fat, but you're not losing your the muscles, especially those of us that are lifting right now and have worked very hard to build all these muscles. We don't want to lose those. We want to keep those, right? So if you're trying to lose fat, maybe tone up, you're going to eat in a cutting. I don't even know if you guys can see my mouse, but a cutting phase. So you're going to eat 25% of your total daily energy expenditure. So to figure that out, I just multiply my TDEE times 0.75. So that calorie goal for this person that we started with at the beginning would be 2,500 calories. And I know that sounds like a lot because I know we've all kind of always been told, oh, you need to eat, like, to lose weight, you need to eat 1,200 calories or 2,000 calories. That's not true. Science has been done, research has been done that just eating so few calories, especially for somebody, bigger, is just going to shut down their metabolism. So this is why I like macros, is because it fits it to the individual. It's not a one size fits all. Like, it is calculated to fit you. So once you get your daily calorie goal, or for us in this scenario is 2,500, then you have to break that down into how many of each of these macros you're going to eat. So for cutting, you eat 40% of your daily goal is protein, 40% carbs, and 20% fat. So to figure out your protein, you would multiply your calorie goal by 0.4 and then divide it by 4. Oh, go back. Times 0.4 and divide by 4. So they are going to eat 250 grams of protein. And I know that sounds like a lot of protein, but it can be done. And when you start kind of putting things like on your meal plans, you'll see that protein can add up pretty quickly. Since the math is the same for the carbs and you're eating 40% carbs, that carb goal in this instance would also be 250 grams. Fat is a little bit different, and that has to do with how fat molecules are made up and broke down by the body. There's a whole lot of science behind it. We're going to skip that. But they're calculated differently. So they would eat divided by 9. So they're going to eat 55 grams of protein. Grams of fat in that day. So that's how you would calculate it. I'm not going to go through each scenario, but you can see like how the math was done. It's the same process. It's just, since this person in maintaining, they're going to eat 100% of their total daily expenditure, but they're going to eat at 35% protein, 45% carbs, and 25% fat. And, same thing down here for lean bulking. Like we talked about, they're trying to build and gain. So they're going to eat above what their body is Sorry, my mouse is touchy. Um, Above what their body needs on the daily basis so that it has the extra to build that muscle. And they're going to eat at 25% protein, 55% carbs, and 20% fat. Um, so that's kind of the math. Do you guys have any questions yet? I know it's a lot and a lot of math, and it can look scary and overwhelming, but it's really not that bad. Um, so
Tiffany, I had a question for you.
yeah.
So how often do you adjust this? Like if you're
So
losing weight, then like do you
uh,
adjust?
yes. I usually adjust it um every usually about every 15 pounds. I would redo the math. I mean, it's not going to change a ton, but I also don't want to all of a sudden be like, oh, I've lost 30 pounds, but I'm still eating 30 pounds heavier because that's going to kind of cause you to plateau. So, I mean, I say for me, I do every 15 pounds. Of course, it's going to be depend on what your goal is. Obviously, if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, you might need to um, assess more often just to make sure. So it's almost, I would think of it as when you start to plateau, if you notice yourself starting to plateau, you might look at it and say, okay, I've lost 5 pounds and I've been at that weight for 2 weeks. Maybe I need to recalculate. Um, and so, like for myself, I've figured out that, okay, about every 15 pounds, that was when I would recalculate my goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I was just curious, like how often.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's hard to give like a blanketed answer because it
Yeah.
kind of depends on the person and their goals. But you definitely want to keep an eye on it and keep an eye on your progress to make sure that you don't become stagnant. Um,
And then,
so,
oh,
oh
sorry. One
no,
other
go
thing.
ahead.
No, so for carbs, that's just any carb, like just a straight looking at a nutrition label and whatever the carbs are on there is factored in.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Obviously, we don't want to eat, you know, healthy, nutrient dense food. So like your whole grains and stuff like that is better than ultra high processed, as with anything. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
this is not, I know some people say, well, subtract the fiber and that's your carbs. No, I always just do whatever the carbs on the label are because your body has to process those carbs even if it's fiber. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So the math is done. Yay, no more math. Now what? Um, Sorry, I like keep putting the video pane in the wrong spot. So with macros, and as with almost all of your nutrition plans, plan is key. And I even went with this little quote: "A dream without a plan is only a wish." So meal planning and meal prep is key. That way you always have your snacks. It's easy to stay on track and stick with your plan. So what I found, again, that works for me. Everybody's got their own things that would work for them. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it's fine. Where are we going? There we go. So I made myself a little spreadsheet. I know I'm kind of a little nerdy sometimes. Don't don't judge. um, but this was just helpful for me. It made it easier to plan. I'm also the person that can eat the same thing like 5 days in a row and be fine with it. But this kind of gives you a jumping off point. And mine still needs a little bit of work. I'm working on this one. But you can see I kind of broke down my columns: protein, carbs, fat, and total calories. And then down here at the bottom, I have my goals and um, like my totals. So what when I'm doing my meal plan, where I'm at. So right now I'm still short 60 grams of protein, and it can
Tiffany.
be tricky, especially when you've got to eat. Like for me, I would have to eat 239 grams of protein. It can be tricky to get all that protein in and not go over on your carbs and your fat, you know. Um, I'm trying to come up with high protein snacks that are low in fat. Like yogurt is a good one for me. Low fat cottage cheese is one that I like. Um, I love my peanut butter, but of course it's high in fat, so that doesn't help me. Hard boiled eggs are a great high protein snack, but again, they've got 10 grams of fat. So it's just kind of um, figuring out what works for you, what you like. Um, and like I said, with any nutrition plan, I mean, even when we've done portion fix and things like that, we always, stress the importance of planning. So actually, I can update this because and show you how my spreadsheet works.
Tiffany,
Um, yeah,
Sorry. We can't see your spreadsheet. At least I
it's
can't.
it's not there.
No, just so you know.
Oh,
I don't know if it's like sh only Sherry. It's like only
oh, I
your
know why.
slideshow.
Hold
Okay.
on. Now I know. Sorry about that. There we go. Now can you see it? Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Um, so this is what works for me. So now you can see I've got all my protein, I've got what I'm eating for food, and then all the macros for that broke out. My goals are down at the bottom. So like when I change, like right now I have the Oikos plain Greek yogurt that actually has 25 grams of carbs in it, or 25 grams of protein. You can see it then updates like how many grams of protein I have left to find in my meal plan during the day. Um, so that's like one way to do it. Another way that is kind of helpful is there's a couple apps that I will recommend to you guys. And My Fitness Pal is really good because you can it breaks it down into the macros for you. And then My Macros Plus. So those are great to one, look up foods when you're kind of making a meal plan, and two, track your food every day. I know my goal for February, because I have not been as good at tracking my macros, is to track my macros every day and stick with my macro plan. I've kind of, like the past couple weeks, I've kind of just been winging it. I know roughly what I need to eat, but I need to get back on track and actually like stick to my plan. Um, so this is, like I said, this is what works for me. I made myself a spreadsheet. You can do it with pen and paper, but I know when like, especially when you're first kind of figuring it out, it can kind of be a trial and error to kind of hit those goals right on the edge or right on the nose. Um, and I also like, especially with my protein, if everything else is great and I'm 10 grams short of protein, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Like, I do my best. I know that I'm a human. I do my best to get everything as close as possible. I don't want to be 30, 40 grams out on something. But I kind of give myself like a 10 gram rule. 10 grams over, 10 grams under for protein and carbs is fine. And then I usually go, like my goal for fat is 55. So I like to keep it within five over, five under. Um, just because, like I said, for me, I drove myself crazy at first trying to hit these perfectly every single day. And um, so that, like I said, that's what I like to do. And if you need help, I'm happy to help you guys set up a spreadsheet. I like spreadsheets. So I'm happy to help anybody with them. Let me get back to my other screen if I can figure out how. There we go. All right, where are we? My eyes also just got really dry for a reason, so don't mind my blinking. Come on, where's my mouse? Oh, okay. I don't know why I can't get it to go bigger again, but so these are a list of helpful resources, and I know I've talked about some of these along the way, but I wanted to kind of put them all in one place for you guys. So, like I said, my very beat up Thinner, Leaner, Stronger book by Michael Matthews. Nicole, I think you said you've bought the book, right? And I do not get a kickback. I just really like the book. Is really good. I have not read it cover to cover. I have read the parts that applied to me and kind of skim the rest. I'm actually thinking that might be my personal development book for February and go back and like really read it and deep dive again. Like I said, my Fitness Pal app, there is a free version and a premium version. Honestly, the free version works great. If you want to get really fancy, the premium version does have some nice features. Like you can scan your meal and it will calculate it all for you. You don't even have to enter stuff. But that one has a pretty large database of food in it. So I do like that. Same thing with My Macros Plus. There's a free in the paid version. They both work great. I find my Fitness Pal to have more of the foods that I eat in it, so I kind of lean towards that one more. Another website is I'm talking. I'm doing something. Go see Daddy. I'll be out in a minute. Sorry. Is Macros Incorporated. That one is a place that you can go and you can hire a macros coach, and they will essentially do all of this for you, and they'll coach you. They'll work with you and like make adjustments week to week as to do you need to eat more protein, more carbs. But it is like you have to pay for it. But I wanted to just kind of share some of these all with you. Instagram and Facebook Reels are great places to get recipes. You can find a lot of people that will like share the recipe and the macros underneath it. So I find myself saving a lot of those. And on Facebook, the Stealth Health Life is one of those that I follow them because they do a lot of like meal prep meals that you can make 30 freezer meals, and this is what the macros are. So that one's super helpful and has a lot of information, a lot of really yummy looking recipes that are almost like comfort food, but but have good macros to them, like good protein. Carbs are in like the right ratio with the protein, and not too high in fat. So that guy I really like to follow. So thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Do you guys have any other questions?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
You have scale. Do you like weigh your food?
I do have a food scale. It is very helpful. Weighing it is more accurate than measuring. And because you can kind of break it down. Like when you look at the back, a lot of times when you look at a nutrition label, some of them will say a quarter of a cup, but a lot of times you'll notice a lot of things say like 25 grams or 50 grams. And it's like, I have no idea how much that is. So yes, I do have a food scale. My husband got it for me from Walmart 5 years ago, so I can't even tell you which one it is. But again, it doesn't have to be fancy. Just like I said, mine came from Walmart. Because it is easier, and it's easier, especially when you're making recipes, because you can just kind of like keep zeroing it out as you add new ingredients. And it's also great for if you have made a recipe, then it's easy to measure exactly how much you've got. So like the other night, say I made unstuffed pepper casserole. If I had measured my food um, when I was like and my Fitness Pal and is great because you can like build a recipe in there and then you can say, okay, I had 30 grams of this recipe, and it will then tell you what the macros are for that serving. So that's helpful. Yes. So a food scale is helpful. Yes, you can get by without one, but like I said, if you are really seriously considering doing macros, I would recommend spending the 10 or $15 to get a food scale. It'll save you a lot of time and a lot of dirty measuring cups from measuring your food. Any other questions?
So how long have you been doing this?
Um, I started initially back in 2020, and this is what I did when I first started my weight loss back then. And I did it 4 or 5 months straight, and I lost like 40 pounds on it. I had really good luck. But then when I became a body coach and was really trying to like promote the body meal plans, I kind of got away from my macros. But throughout the years, I've gone back to it and done it, at months, a couple months here and there at a time. Um, this year, I've really started getting back into it. And my goal for February is to track my macros every day. So, um, on and off, I've done it for 5 years, I would say.
So do you have just like a master database of all the dinners that you've been doing? Like because I think this is my biggest block with it is like, um, I mean, honestly, my first issue is that I just struggle with meal planning in general. Because I'll do a lot of it, and then when it comes time to actually eat the meal, I'm like, nope, I'm tired of it already. Um,
Right. Because
so
you've
yeah,
meal prepped it for so much.
yeah, like I'm
Um,
looking at it before I eat it. So like, do you keep kind of like your own little library of stuff so that like if shit hits the fan, sorry, pardon my French, then you're just like, well, a chicken breast counts for this much, and I can just do that and throw in
yeah,
veggies and
I
call it done. Or
I
how?
tend I tend to when I'm doing my macros, a lot of times for dinners, I will do something basic, and that's just kind of who I am anyway. Is I will do like one, I kind of tend to eat the same thing over and over again and maybe cook something different for my kids and my husband. But I'll kind of keep it simple and do like taco meat over broccoli with rice or black beans. If I make a recipe, I'm probably going to eat it all week just because I've figured out what it fits into. But this is where like a lot of those like the Facebook stuff, I will try to go through because I usually just save them on my phone. Um and try to come up with some good ones that I've liked that um like those reels that I talked about that have um the macros right on them. But a lot of times I do find when I'm doing macros, I eat the same thing over and over again because it's easy for me. But I know a lot of people don't like to do that. I'm boring and can eat the same lunch every day and the same dinner every day, at least for a week. Then I might switch it up for the next week. Um, but this book also, if I remember correctly, in the back does have some recipes and sample meal plans. And again, I'm not trying to like get you guys to buy the book. I'm just telling you why I find it helpful. Um, it also comes with a workout, but it does have sample meal plans in it, and you can honestly, um, Google's your best friend. You can and Pinterest. Pinterest is also great for like macro friendly meals that you can kind of like you said, keep on hand for something to say. And a lot of times it's just knowing that, okay, at dinner, I need to eat something that has roughly 50 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbs, and 5 grams of fat. And then try to work whatever you're having for dinner into that.
I feel like
So,
even though I know they're not the same, like not even close to the same, I feel like I can relate a lot of this back to when we followed Portion Fix and just like
I
at
mean, it is
first needing to figure out like what fit into what, but then kind of knowing after a while, like I knew what I could have essentially.
yeah, and that's kind of how it is. And I mean, they're all kind of based off I mean, they're all based off eating in a calorie deficit. I do feel that macros prioritizes protein more than like Portion Fix did. But yeah, it's the same thing. Like once you figure out the basics, like what you need to eat, how much you need to eat, you know that, okay, yep. Um, my hard-boiled eggs is this amount, so that works really well on the days that I want to have this for dinner. Yeah, like you said, you kind of get into a groove of knowing what works, what doesn't work, and what fits where. It's really I feel like macros is one of those things that is tricky because it can be hard when you're getting started and figuring it all out. But like if you stick with it for a little while, then you're like, okay, this isn't that bad. I can do this. And it really does work. So, and if any of you like are interested in doing it and we want to do like a group chat or something, I'm happy to do that. Um, I know we have a lot of group chats going with the Cupid challenge and dig deeper and all of that, but if you guys are interested or like I said, anytime, just feel free to message me and I can try to help you. I am by no means an expert. Um, but I've I've done it for a while and trial and error, if you will. Any other questions?
Do you have any tips on doing this if you're going to be traveling or eating at restaurants?
Um, that's always tricky. That's when I would highly recommend like getting the MyFitnessPal app. And before, because then you can look up something or even like track your day throughout the day and know like as you're traveling, okay, well this is what I've had for breakfast. Um so okay, I only have, and with MyFitnessPal it will tell you throughout the day like how much, kind of like your gas gauge, like how much you have left of each macro. So you could keep an eye on that. And they do have a lot of fast food restaurants in there. Like I know Dunkin' Donuts stuff is in the MyFitnessPal app. Um, Probably Burger King and those types of restaurants are. But a lot of times too, this is where like technology is great. If you go to especially your fast food like restaurants, websites or whatever, you can find their um nutrition information. And so you could track it that way. But it's kind of like the same thing, Catherine. With any of the meal plans that we followed, like don't totally deprive yourself. If you're gonna go out and have dinner with, friends, family, whatever, make healthy choices, but enjoy yourself is my take on things. Um, you can always track, like I said, check the apps. If you went to, a restaurant and you got glazed salmon. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with something. And asparagus. Just do your best at finding what would fit on that app to give you a rough idea of where you're at. Like, okay, a 3-ounce serving of glazed salmon has 20 grams of protein. Or, the asparagus has X amount of carbs in it, whatever. And just, be mindful, but also like, don't not enjoy yourself. I think I said that right.
Yes, you did.
But my Fitness Pal is the one that I've used the most, and it does have a lot of like if you search Dunkin' Donuts wake up wrap, you can log it. You know what I mean? Um to like, at least if you're doing fast food because you're traveling, um, you can track it and just do your best. So, you know. Well, I'm glad you guys could hop on. I hope this was helpful and not more confusing because I know I threw a lot of information at you. Um, if you want the slides or whatever, just shoot me a message with your email and I can certainly send it to you, so that you have it and have all those formulas. Um, so yeah, and like I said, if anybody wants to do it together, we can certainly do another group chat, and I'll figure it out. So if you guys are good, I'm gonna go eat my dinner.
Yes, this was so helpful. I
Okay.
honestly didn't really know a whole lot, so thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Tiffany.
You're welcome. I hope you guys have a good Friday.
Yeah.